I think sometimes it can be a challenge to really have an affinity to what we see in training and rehab research when you have a very theoretical mindset. That's how I would somewhat describe how I think. I'm not going to say research is limited because I'm comparing the literature and research studies and what we can accept as evidence at that level to this other level and this other measuring stick that I'd be using. So I don't think research is limited. That being said, I don't think we can actually research the processes of training and rehab. You can research neurology and physiology, that if certain stressors are applied, this is what we expect to happen. But you cannot research all of the different sensory inputs that affect said neurology and physiology. And so that's theoretical. For instance, I'm working on a lot of return to play stuff right now. So if I look at this HOP test, we set this standard, and this HOP test in the literature appears to demonstrate that if you can perform it at this level, you have no increased risk for re-injury for injury X. And if you perform under this level, you should question or revisit your return to play decisions. Well, in that research study, there's nothing wrong. Like, this is solid. Everything was valid and reliable for what was the questions that were being asked. But I would say it's nearly impossible to ask all of the other questions that would be very much related to the neurology and physiology of that HOP test. For instance, for the individuals that did not achieve this requisite standard, did they eat well the day before? How's their sleep been for the last 3 weeks? Was there any psychosocial questionnaire? Any type of other activity that they had been doing that led up to the test? You can maybe control for that last one, but you're not going to be looking at their diet for the last 3 weeks. When in fact, if somebody has a diet of a certain, and their macronutrients is of a certain way, of course it's going to affect this repeated explosive event. To think that it wouldn't is absolutely absurd. Did we look at limb lengths of all of the people in that test? At that point, it doesn't mean that the research itself was wrong, but when you have this theoretical model of what can I do to do everything I can possibly do to help this individual, maybe the outcomes of that HOP test would be dramatically different if you controlled for a whole bunch of other things. And the randomness of certain things can also wreak havoc with how you might value certain information. So that's beyond like a clinical strategy that I would maybe favor. I think this applies to everybody. The concepts of how you eat and how you sleep have everything to do with how you perform. So if you're looking at literature that doesn't qualify those things, I think it just sets a different standard of how you like to look at things. I'm still going to put high value for that HOP test because there's evidence that, hey, this did tell us something, because this group did great, this one didn't do so great. The research was a home run. Can I make it a grand slam home run? And whether I publish this information or not, we still use that test, but we really look to make sure that everyone's other factors are significantly controlled for.